Welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 180. Want to work for Zoho? Get a ZhD. Recorded on Friday, January 7th, 2021 from Zenatta Consulting. I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
Happy New Year, buddy.
Yeah, Happy New
Can't
Year.
believe it's our first show of the year, episode 180. In another 180 shows, will we be right back where we started? Did it?
Very
360?
likely.
Yeah.
Come roundabout.
You never know. Never know. All right. This is our, we did a test last week broadcasting live, and now we're doing it again. And man, I'm looking forward to this. This has been going pretty good. So with that, you're right. Let's get into the show. As always here, let's start with our announcements. We have got 2 webinars coming up. Not next week, but the week after. So on Tuesday, January 18th, we're going to be doing at 10 a.m. Pacific time, a Z Portals full product tutorial and run through the benefits. If you're not familiar, Z Portals is a WordPress plugin, and you can check them out at zportals.com. They've got their own website where basically you can connect to a whole bunch of different Zoho products and services and present them to your clients. So kind of a really nice client portal that's very tightly integrated with Zoho. And we're big fans. We actually do implementations around it as well. And so we're actually going to have the founder and creator of Z Portals on, John Mark Bantock, and we're going to run through the entire thing. Should be a good show, Tyler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And then last year, our most popular webinar we did was a Zoho 1. We're calling it full product tutorial. It's not. We're going to do a Zoho 1 full product overview. That's one of the few where it's kind of a real overview. And we're going to run through the entire Zoho 1 products, and I think they added 5 or 6 new products to it this year.
Yeah, we always try to fit this webinar into a clean hour. We've done it in 2020 and in 2021, and each year they keep adding more applications. So it gets harder and harder to keep it in an hour. We're going to do our best, but we're on challenge mode this year, I think, with all these new applications.
Yeah. But what makes a little difference, not only going to go through each application, if you've gone to our website and you look at our resource library, we rank applications as yes, you should use them. Maybe you should use them. In a lot of cases, they're great for you. And no, you probably should stay away from them because the products just have some flaws that we can't recommend right now. And as it relates to this, they've done a whole lot. There's been a whole lot of movement from last year as to where the products sit. And they've made some improvements, and then they've added things, and there's a whole new interface. So we're going to run, I don't know, Tyler. I'm thinking an hour and 15 minutes on this one because there's a lot.
We might need to schedule it a little long.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit longer. And as always, if you want to know about any of our events, if you head over to zenatta.com/events, well, that's where we keep track of all of them. So right now, we're kind of waiting for other people to populate some events for this new year. They really haven't. It's really just our stuff. So we had our CRM Zen Show and our couple other webinars. But in the next week or two, other companies will start announcing their webinars, and we'll go ahead and we'll get them added into here as well. All righty. And with that, let us jump straight on into this week's Zoho news. And we've got a lot. We will start with Zoho's done something really cool here. They are launching the Zoho Schools of Learning. And this is for people who, if you kind of read through this, you are passionate, you're enthusiastic, but for some reason you have missed the opportunity at Zoho by a whisker. This school is for you. So people have come in, evidently there are various tests they have to take to work for Zoho, to have a certain skill set. It's not quite there. Well, they've launched this entire, basically, academy. And I have to think this is in India only. Yes? And
I would think you'll want to take a little poking around there, but I would think they'll probably launch it in India first, though a lot of the marketing here is could go both ways.
It could, except anybody older than 20 and younger than 24. So I don't know if you can get away with that here. So I'm betting this is India, because they're age restricting it that way. That's who could not apply for this program. if you're already employed, you cannot apply for the program. If you've yet to complete a degree, they've got all sorts of things they're trying to do here. But, it looks like they're trying to up their game on getting people in. And so, hey, do this and you can have your ZhD, right?
There we go. It's a very cool idea,
it.
though. I mean, I wonder if other big software vendors are going to do similar things over time, because there is a big gap in, being able to hire tech savvy, business savvy people who have those skills. So pretty cool to see them invest in actually doing some of the training and education for, building a new generation of employees.
Yeah. And they've got some interesting stuff too. It says, this is not for a high school diploma students aiming to join the Zoho School of Tech, Business, Design, and Advanced Study.
Yeah, this is like you've already graduated a different college with the college degree. Right. And this is your post-graduation.
Yeah, so they've got a whole lot going on here. Very, very cool. So, Zoho's talked about this whole education thing for quite a while. I know one of the things they were going to do is they were going to try to launch something like this here in the States, to train people to be Zoho developers, engineers, support, that kind of stuff. Really kind of as a feeder to partners like us as well, not only to Zoho. So hopefully they do bring this over here. Very good stuff. All right, and moving on with the news, starting with CRM. You can now track, monitor sales activities on the fly with the all-new task, calls, and meetings modules.
And this is one of those funny ones where we've actually had this for a long time. Sometimes these news stories come out and we're like, surely that's already been released. But this is just one that they rolled out in open access probably like 6 months ago or so, I think, for most partners.
Yeah.
And basically the long story short is that if you're a CRM user, you know that tasks, meetings, and calls have always kind of been rolled into that master activities module. What they're allowing here is basically breaking up that module into tasks, calls, and meetings as their own sections. Now, what we've seen so far is that the activities module doesn't go away. It's more just adding new ways to look at those same records. The big one here that we've got some mixed feelings on are the new related list inside of like a contact or lead. They've kind of squished them into these 3 little columns. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see those here. I get what they're going for. I think making it a little bit more clear what's a task, what's a call, and what's an email as you're looking at that list is a good thing. But what we found is there are a couple of those common operations like closing a task that are taking an extra click or two. So I think I get what they're going for. Maybe a little bit more fine tuning on this over time is needed. But yeah, pretty significant update actually, I think, for how a lot of people are using the CRM.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, they needed to break out task, meetings, and calls. They are separate. They should be separate. They need to have separate related. To be blunt, I hate the new 3-column related list. It adds unnecessary work. You broke them up. They don't belong together. And by the way, I thought the reason they were breaking them up is so they could finally fix tasks so you actually could manage them in a Kanban view. You can't. They're still not fixed. You can't do anything with it. So really neat, halfway implementation, credit for breaking them up. I don't know how difficult it was, but I'm not thrilled. To me, it's worse than it was before. I'd rather just, if you're not going to fix the main tasking purpose, you're actually making a whole bunch of extra clicks. By the way, this doesn't scale. This scales horribly depending on what monitor you look on. The new after. I mean, there's all kinds of issues with this, and I don't think it was so. Go with before as far as related lists go, but break them down into three separate related lists, and then you're fine because then you fix the clicks, but fix the damn tasking Kanbans. Just anyway, it's ridiculous. I'm in a bad mood.
One day you'll get your wish.
I'm not feeling good. It's coming out today. I'm quitting smoking. I'm going through nicotine withdrawal. I don't know. This could be an angry show, Tyler. I could just be
a different vibe, a little bit less zen in the CRM Zen Show today.
Less zen. It's the CRM Angry Show with Brett. Yeah. All right, moving right along. Zoho Writer, enhanced drawing editor and improved document fidelity. Really nice changes. Basically, uh, in Writer, you can do auto shapes, and you can drop various things in. They've really improved the way you can manage these things and their groupings and ungrouping of shape. It's just constant enhancements to Zoho Writer. I mean, I love it. There's just everything
Mm-hmm.
they do with this just makes it better and better. And it's I know I'm not sure if you've been converted yet. It's far and away my favorite word processing
Yeah, we're
application.
definitely getting there. I mean, I think the nice one here that I did call out here up at the very very top is auto sizing text to the shapes. If you are making a document that's going to have some of those like visual cues, and maybe in one of them you want 2 sentences, and another you want 3, and another you want 4, having it just automatically size all your text so that it looks proper and nice is it's really good. It just saves you that time of tinkering with font sizes, and lets you just focus on getting the document done and out the door.
Very good. There, I blew my nose in between. I think I actually fit that in fairly well. I don't know, man. Everybody I know is going down. I talked this morning. I mean, our producer Freddie's going down, and Avin's not feeling good. I've got some friends. And a lot of these
Weird.
people have tested positive. I hope it's not the big COVID. I don't know, man, but we'll see.
Meanwhile, I'm out here in Cincinnati feeling great. So
I know.
yeah, hopefully you can catch up here.
All right, and also in the Office suite, Zoho Sheet, you now can group rows and columns, which is kind of interesting. So you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of group them and hide them, and summarize and simplify your spreadsheets by doing so. So kind of nice. It's kind of like the old. I mean, I'm looking at this. Is this kind of like the old hide, basically? I mean, you're
Yeah, I mean, it's like
grouping
if
them.
you were to make a pivot, but you wanted it to be easy to expand and contract. So it's like a more flexible way to hide rows.
Yeah,
They
hide and
also
unhide.
allow
So
multi-level too. So if you had, one level you wanted to group on, and then some stuff below it that you wanted some subgroupings, you can kind of build that out. Kind of
yeah,
nice. I mean, I
so
would imagine if you're going to pivot up some data inside of Zoho Sheets, expand and contract definitely makes it easier to use. So,
yeah, it
nice update.
certainly does. Very,
The
very, very
Office
nice
team sure
update.
does stay busy, don't they? It seems like we don't often go more than a week or two without a story from them.
No, they do not rest on their laurels.
No.
That is for sure. All right, and moving on with the news, Workerly. We've got two Workerly stories back to back here. They now have Geo-Fencing, the future of attendance and timesheets, or as I like to say, George Orwell, you were right. Anyway, 1984 has came and passed. Here we are. So if you use Workerly, it's basically a software package that allows you to deploy mostly 1099 hourly type workers, hourly workers 1099. You now have geofencing. So basically, if they're actually where they should be and if they are working.
Yeah, and that is a
Um,
nice thing for clock in. I know that a lot of people do use Workly for clocking in and clocking out. And so because they're going to do that from a mobile device, you can actually get really granular and know where they're clocking in from. Right. I mean, this is kind of those things where someone clocking in when they're 20 minutes away, right? And kind of scraping out that extra 20 minutes of billable time, where now the clock in would actually say, hey, you are not on location. You actually have to wait until you get there. And then, and only then can you clock in. So nice
yeah.
controls to have. I think they added that to People a while back, and now it's coming over there for Workerly as well.
Well, I would just hand you my phone and say, "Hey, I'll meet you on the job site. I'm running a little late. You could get there, then
Well,
I'd be checked in
then you got to
with the
get me
geo."
with the biometrics, right? The face scan, the single drop of
They
blood
do
onto
have
the
that
touch
too, right?
screen, right?
They've got the face scan. Yes, they do. Um, let's implement this here at Sonata. Everybody has to. We'll geofence everybody in their own houses. You know,
There you go.
we'll make sure you're not in your house. What are you doing? We'd have to make an exception for Tavin because he's all over the
A
place
world
all the time. I don't know
traveler.
what to do. World traveler. All right, moving on with the news. Also with Workly, you can now delete shifts in bulk. Yay. So
That
you used
goes
to have
into
to
the
delete them.
things we thought were already there category. But
Yes.
nonetheless, good update. You don't want to go one by
Yeah.
one and have to delete all those.
Yeah. And I like Workly. I was playing around with it. You know how they released Zoho Shifts? Workly Shifts is in Workly as well.
Really? Kind of the
So
same
yeah,
UI and setup. Yeah.
it's the same application. It's but it's kind of interesting. You can kind of see if you look at this screenshot that's here, right? It's the same thing. The people, the number of hours that you got for the day of the week. It's the Shifts app as part of Workly. They just kind of broke it out on their own. But this is a big update because having you work with it, you actually had to do every single one by one. Yeah, it was just kind of a pain to go through and do
Yep.
that. So good stuff. Moving on with the news now. So Zoho Invoice got 9 new extensions over in the marketplace. We don't really hear about, basically Zoho Invoice getting all of these different extensions, but they've got some nice ones here. Slack, Office 365, Google Workspace, Zoho Expense, Zoho Analytics, Zoho Click, Zoho Desk, Zoho CRM, Projects, People, Sales IQ, and Mail. I think this
Are
is
we
all new.
sure that those integrations didn't exist, or is this one of Zoho's roll-ups where they grab a bunch of stuff that got updates and call it new? Because surely
Man,
Invoice already had an integration for a lot of these Zoho tools, I believe. Unless I am horribly mistaken, I would have sworn they had plugins for most of
well,
those
we can
ones.
always tell. Let's go look at Slack for
No,
Zoho
Slack is
Invoice.
new,
No, it's
published on
not.
November 8th. We'll count that.
I guess. Okay.
Call it
We'll
close
give them
enough.
credit there. Yeah, I want to say that the whole invoice thing is new. That invoice being part of the marketplace is relatively new. They're saying 12 were published. Um, it looks like that's all they
Yeah,
have.
maybe they
so
are
I,
new.
yeah, except for this. Oh, this is a new one. They didn't put HubSpot in, but everything else. So there's 13 in here, if I'm reading this correctly. Yep, there's 13 in here. Yeah, it's all new. It's good. Good for Zoho Invoice. Good for the marketplace. Alrighty. And now moving on to Zoho Backstage. What's new? Well, really, this is a roundup of stuff. I swear we already covered this, right? The virtual expo management. Oh, I guess because
Yep,
it was in beta, it's now live. Very
got
nice.
it.
Don't know if there's anything else here. I will tell you though, Tyler, I had an epiphany yesterday. Um,
Uh-oh.
so, well,
Those are
remember the call.
dangerous.
I know. It's where this happens to me. So I basically, we now are going to do all of this stuff live. We're pushing it all through YouTube and we're pushing it through Twitter Live, and then it's all being recorded and then pushed out. And we're liking the way we're doing it. So we're actually going to do this now with all of our webinars. They're going to be live. And everything we do, we're basically just going to do it this way. So we're not using Zoom anymore. We're not going to be using, Zoom webinars like we have been in the past. So we're like, well, we still want people to register because we need to be able to send them the proper link on the day that it happens, and we want them to be able to add it to their calendar. And we're going back and forth. We're saying, oh, can this software? Well, you know what can do it all? Backstage. We can do the registrations, we can push the invites, we can host it. It actually will list all of the upcoming events. So the marketing team is basically we're going to look over at this and we're going to be moving our events page, Zenatta.com/events, over basically to Backstage. We're going to list all the events there, whether ours or others. You'll register for our events there. It'll add to your calendar, the entire thing. Am I missing something, or wasn't an actual epiphany, Tyler? It seemed to be.
It might have been a real epiphany there. I mean, we know Backstage is a great tool. It might be worth taking it for a spin.
Yeah. Well, we've done it for other clients, but I just think we've never thought of it for ourselves because most of the time when people are doing it, they're selling tickets. But you can set your ticket as free,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing that as well. So, maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll have a special members only event. All right. And moving on. All right. More Zoho Invoice news. This is everything that happened in 2021. I think the big thing about this was that if you're a small business and you just need an invoicing application, Zoho Invoice is free forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did the same with the basic version of books as well, didn't they?
I think so. Yeah, I thought they did up to a certain amount of revenue. You could use it for free. Some type of upper limit or a certain number of invoices, maybe it was, that you can use there for free. Yeah, I mean, it's a great offering for, I think, a lot of small business, especially solopreneurs as you get going and you just need a tool to get digitally payable, invoices, digitally acceptable estimates out in front of your clients. It is going to cover that base for you, no problem. And it's definitely, from Zoho's side, a nice little gateway drug into the world of Zoho.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks for covering there for me while I blew my nose and died. I appreciate that. That was good.
We do what we can.
Gateway drug. All right. And then moving on, Zoho Expense. They did their 2021 year in review. Another application we don't give a lot of time to, but a very good application. Um, it's does the job, integrates with books exceptionally well, integrates with people. And if you are looking for that kind of thing, this is a good application to take a look at.
This year as well, they
What's
did
that?
put out basically a full rebuild of the UI and Expense, and it is much better than it was before. It was never a bad looking application, or it was never hard to use, but it is super slick now, better than
Yeah.
ever.
And they've done a lot of, I remember a couple of years ago, 2, 3 years ago, um, I had a company that wanted to move to it. They were on Concur, but you basically, there were different things for different departments, and they've made all those changes. They've kind of caught up with
Mm.
where Concur was. And so this is actually an extremely full featured expense application. It's funny. I like it much better than the one we have to use internally, because our payroll's handled by a company called Trinet, and all of our expenses run through there. And so we kind of have to use that expense application, and it is god awful. And whenever I think,
It is
I mean, it's
horrible.
just the worst ever. So
It
this
is
is,
horrible.
I wish we could use this. Maybe we should use this and write some sort of API or something, because it's a good application. All right, moving on. Zoho subscriptions 2021 recap. There were a flurry of updates, and then, anyway, we had a lot. Anything jump out at you here?
Yeah, I mean, they built on top of their analytics integration. That was a big one this year. Opened up a lot of new reports we could make. Trials converting to active, right? Some of those more specific reports that you couldn't quite tease out before. A
Pause
lot
and
of stuff
resume.
yeah, pause and resume. A lot of stuff on the client portal in general, right? It's the ability to pause and resume, the ability to extend a trial if you've allowed that for a certain product and plan. Um, I think the ability for customers to go into the customer portal and add add-ons. I believe that is part of this as well this year. So, I mean,
Yeah.
a ton of updates kind of for the back end users of the analytics, and then a lot around the customer portal that's made it better and better.
I would like them to, without having to do all the crazy add-on work we have to do, I would love the ability to stack subscriptions, right? I want a subscription to this. I want a subscription to this. I want a subscription to this. And then it all goes into one cart, and that's the roll up, and you've got the 3 subscriptions. I think that's probably the most asked for thing that I get. And so it'd be
It's
nice
tough
if we
because yeah,
could,
people
we could see that.
people will look for those like shopping cart style experiences to add to subscriptions. Like the one I often use as an example of unfortunately what subscriptions doesn't do right now is a service like Chewy that I use for my massive dog's dog food and assorted dog items. That
Right.
you basically can go through, grab this product, grab this product, grab this one, and just put it on a 2-month recurring subscription or however you want to handle that. But
Yeah.
I think subscription is just targeted for a different kind of user, than
It
something
is.
like
It's a
that. And
Netflix. It's the Netflix type
it's a
subscription, right?
service
You're just
subscription, I think, is where it works best. When you start trying to
yeah,
fit a product into Zoho subscriptions is where you start to have more issues.
right. But if I had a wish, because they did such a great job in 2021, these were just massive. I mean, the pause and resume and the reactivate, all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so needed and so necessary. And the upgrade downgrade was a big one too, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so all that was great. I would just love them to see that shopping cart style subscription model, because they're just a whole. I don't know. It's probably 2, 3 times a month I have people asking for that, right? And where do
Mm-hmm.
they end up going? They go to Shopify.
Yep.
So because you can do it in Shopify, you can even do it in Woo. You can do it in BigCommerce, but you can't really do it in Zoho Commerce. So somewhere that's one little hole. Guys, fix it. But great job to the subscription team. Alrighty, and then a new look at Zoho. A look at Zoho Notebook 2021, Tyler. A ton of great enhancements. I mean, you
Yep.
talk about this. I can't do
Yeah, I know where this is going. Yeah, Zoho, or I think Brett, while you're on a nicotine withdrawal, you are not allowed to talk about Zoho Notebook.
I cannot.
So Zoho Notebook had a ton of great updates this year. A lot of improvements for Zoho Click, as new integrations for Zoho Meeting, which is super slick. You pull it up right in the UI and you're taking your notes. I think it was this year that they turned on some of the baseline sharing permissions around notes. I know a couple years back, one of our team members, Wayne, and I tried to use it for a document, and there was just no sharing permissions. And so they've been working on that. The big one that's still missing, I'll say it on your behalf, is that it does not have a CRM integration quite yet. Brett would love that. Basically, take some notes about a sales call, write it, and connect it directly to a deal. One day we'll get there. But nonetheless, good year for Notebook and a pretty solid application.
Yeah. I'd also like rich text in the CRM. That's kind of my thing, right? Because you can get the whole really nice formatting in Zoho Notebook of your notes, but in the CRM, you don't have any rich text. It's just text, and so that
Mm-hmm.
that would kind of be nice going over. But anyway, good job, Notebook team. How's that? All right. And Zoho inventory. I love how they did this. Their flurry of activities in a nutshell. They were very creative in putting all these together. The Zoho inventory 2021 year in review. And they did do a lot with Zoho inventory. I mean, I have to give this team
Mm-hmm.
credit. Just, there's so much that I mean, they're getting this application to the point where more and more organizations are able to adopt it and they're able to use it. I mean, internally, if you're living just in the Zoho world, it's absolutely amazing right now. I think we find that you can unkit stuff this year as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they made a lot of great changes. I think the biggest thing, and it's not all their fault, is some of these integrations with Woo and Shopify are difficult. But then they've done
Mm-hmm.
some great ones with, Fulfilled by Amazon and all those kind of things. So, I mean, there's just a lot for this team to do, and they're working hard. So I think they had a great 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely a lot of integrations for Amazon this year, kind of shoring up how they're going to define warehouses and sales channels for their users. And so you can kind of see them building a lot of that out. I mean, yeah, what we're finding is like as long as you're not needing to track like work in progress, like true full on ERP level inventory, that inventory is probably going to have you covered. Where you really start to stress things is if you're looking to track like what's my asset value that's in work in progress, and what's my waste on production, and some of those elements that it just is not quite equipped to give you. But if you're
Right.
not producing your own product in house and you're buying and reselling from vendors, or you're selling services, and maybe there's a couple little add-ons here and there that are physical goods you want to track inventory on, it's probably going to have you covered real smooth.
Yeah. By the way, is Aftership the one that you're in love with, or is it
Easy Ship. So
Easy?
after ship is like for notifying
Tracking
customers about
that.
shipments that are going.
Right.
Easy Ship is where you're actually generating labels, and they have a pretty slick integration for inventory now, because that was always a huge pain point with Zoho inventory. Is it just took so long to make a label that your shipping department would lose their mind. But now with some of those tools they're integrating with, like Easy Ship, they've kind of hop skipped over that issue.
Got it. Got it. And we've been doing Easy Ship is kind of our go-to for that now, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. All righty. And then moving on, the Community Digest for December 2020. If you're not familiar with this, you can go over to the Zoho community and they kind of do a roundup of kind of the best stuff that happened every month. It's really what we do on a weekly basis, except we're going a lot more. We're basically everything we can find in the community, everything we can find from everywhere. But this is a great place to kind of get a roundup of what happened. So if you don't know it, we always just want to point this out where you can go find this. Anyway, the community, we'll put a link to this in the newsletter as well. They usually poured out some great discussions, some things around there. But I think we covered all this. So just wanted to kind of let you guys know about that. And with that, Tyler, let us move on to the implementation of the week. What do you got?
Alrighty, so yeah, this week is an implementation that we did for a client that does just a whole bunch of volume through the CRM. So for some people, right, they're using the CRM for, I go to the website, I fill out a form, and I come in as a lead, and your leads are in essence coming in one by one, right? And so, oftentimes we get these requests to build out a round robin assignment, right? When a lead is created, rotate it through these sales reps. And when things are coming in on a one-by-one basis, you just run kind of a normal workflow and, grab the next user in line and assign that owner, and you're good to go. But with some clients, the volume is a lot higher, right? So some clients are creating thousands of leads a day, or maybe they're syncing in 1,000 leads from an external source, or they're going to import 1,000 leads into the leads module. And so what we've basically done in this implementation is devise a way to run that round robin, but on a bulk list of records that are coming in all at once. So using a scheduled function in Zoho Deluge, just built natively within the CRM, basically we can take a list of, let's say, leads created yesterday and run this at 2 a.m. and read through that whole list of leads, read through a list of users that are in a particular role, right? So if you've got your CRM users set up and all their different profiles and roles, we can actually read those. And then just run down the list and, basically start counting, sales rep A gets the first one, sales rep B gets the next, sales rep C gets the one following, and you just iterate through their whole list and get them all assigned out in bulk. We're finding especially for larger companies or, maybe companies here that are getting lists from trade shows and getting lists from, third-party services where you're bringing in thousands at once, the round robining becomes kind of a challenge. And so building it out this way as a scheduled function just allows you to kind of set it and forget it. You're not having to go into the spreadsheet and, distribute them every time. Or if you're inserting these via API, you are not having to pass any owner values in. The CRM can just be running through them for you and kind of taking that burden off of you to get all those records assigned out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have tried to make marketplace applications for this, and they all just seem to have their shortcomings. So it's a hard nut to crack, right? And everybody wants to do it slightly differently. It seems that's kind of the thing, right? Everybody's got kind of their little tweaks. This is a nice implementation. I mean, we've done a couple of these, so this is a good one. All right, Tyler. And with that, let's move on to this week's reads. We've got a couple of them. I love this one. This is over on the Zapier. This is Readable versus Understandable: The Importance of Context. And it's really just talking about, you can fool AI tools. And so it starts off with a paragraph that is understandable, but, a little a little messy, to say the least. And what grammar level you need to do, how things need to be written, jargon, contextual tests. So if you're writing a lot of blogs, I mean, sometimes I look at a blog and I'm like, wow, there was no editor here, there's nothing. But this links to a bunch of tools that can help you write, be clear and concise. Anyway, nice little blog over from Zapier, and I thought it was worth pointing out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky when you're doing that blog writing. You want to kind of flex your linguistic muscles and use some of those crazy words and kind of complex sentence structures. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to get content out to people, I think readability is number one, right?
Yep. And then this other read here just kind of slipped in, but it was from over Monster Insights. And it's basically, someone asked the question, why are Google Analytics stacks different from Jetpack's stacks? If you're not familiar, Jetpack is a WordPress plugin that kind of gives you all this data on what's happening on your website. And Google Analytics does the same thing. And they are never even remotely close to each other. And so someone has finally answered that question. And they break it down through bot traffic, how they measure metrics, time zone set. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. But if you're a person that likes to spend a lot of time seeing what's going on your website, who's looking at it, what the visits are, what the pages are, what the hits are, and you're looking at Jetpack and you're looking at Google and they're completely different. You could also look over at PageSense, which will also give you different numbers because of the way it's measuring things. And sometimes I think you have to look at all of them to figure out what's going on. But this is the first explanation I've ever seen that kind of breaks it down, and I liked it. So here you go.
Very cool. Helpful guide there for anybody who's using those tools. Probably a lot of people asking the same questions, right? That we started asking as we reviewed the plugins.
Yeah, I was like, why? All right. And then over on Zenatta.com, we have our 2021 year in review. Um, so there's the whole team. If you're watching us on YouTube, what a handsome lot. Anyway, we've got an article on what happened with us this year. Just had an absolutely amazing year. I think we added 7 new employees. We've got 105 new clients we added over the year. We made it to be the number 2 partner in the United States, which was kind of nice. We found that out from Zoho here just recently. Uh, we launched a whole new web services and finance division this year. The CRM Zen Show was just cranking. And then we launched Club Zenatta this year. YouTube has been on fire. We had a great year, Tyler.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. We really appreciate everyone for checking out the YouTube, sticking around for the podcast as we've kind of tinkered with some different formats and modes, and as we've kind of learned and grown throughout the course of this year.
Yeah, it's been a great year, and I want to thank all of our clients and everybody for really kind of making it possible. All right, and with that, we're going to go to our pick of the week. And probably almost should bring Freddie in here, our producer, but we're talking about Ecamm this week. And if you aren't familiar with Ecamm, well, I really wasn't that familiar with it either, but it is what is making this entire live stream possible. It's just a super nice application. It basically, this entire show is being run down in South Texas. That's where our engineer is. Tyler and I feeds are coming into there. From there, he's the guy that's pushing all the transitions you see, all of the little ads that go across when it switches to me talking and Tyler talking, and you see the screen, you see those things. That's all being done. I mean, Tyler, you're in Cincinnati. I'm here in Aliso Viejo, California, and Freddie's down by Brownsville, and make it all happen. You can bring guests in, you can push people through, you can do, I mean, it's just all of the different scenes you can drive, all of the different streaming you can do. Just a tremendous application if you're doing any of this kind of stuff. And it's nice, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say. He's got a big setup there to drive this whole thing, but this has really changed the way we're producing video, the way we're pushing video out, and I love it. So I thought we'd point out Ecamm, and by the way, relatively cheap as well. I mean, you can get the pro version for $384 a year, so not bad if you're doing this kind of stuff. Yep. You get anything?
No, nothing on my side. To be honest, so many of the things like this are really a bit of voodoo to me. I kind of just show up and do what Freddie and you and Wayne tell me to, because when it comes to hardware, streaming, all this kind of stuff, it is just beyond my scope. I know it looks good, and I know it's actually made it easier for me than it used to be when we were on Zoom webinar. I have to do even less now, which I definitely like. But yeah, I mean,
next week,
so far, so good.
Next week we're both going to be 4K. So we've got new cameras, new gear, new mics, new everything, new lighting. So hopefully we'll look a little better next week when we do our show. All the equipment's coming in and getting set up. But anyway, great stuff. Got to shout out, kudos to Freddie for finding this thing, learning it, driving it. It's been a big upgrade to the way we do things. We hope you guys like it. Anyway, Ecamm is how that is all put together. And with that, we go to our tip of the week. We did this one 2 days ago. Pretty much all you.
Yep, just about.
Yeah, I mean, we sat on the thing together, and I made some pithy comments. So I think that was about it. But this is CRM user profiles and permissions. We sat down. We did a search of all of the videos we've done, and we looked at all of the ones that were kind of missing, and we hadn't done one on this. I thought this was going to be about a 5-minute video. It ended up running 14 minutes. And by the way, you'll see that you can please some of the people some of the time, but not all the people in a minute on this. But if you want to know how to set up user profiles, what they mean, what the permissions are, how to set up those permissions, how to build the roles, it's all there, and kind of worth taking a nice look at. We cover it in that video. And as always, if you head over to youtube.com/Zenatta and subscribe, you will see all of the stuff that we have going on and all of our videos. All righty. And with that, by the way, the team wanted to find Jim Carrey from Ace Ventura going, all righty then, because I guess I say all righty then all the time. And I guess there's one where he does it as a chant, all righty then, or something. Anyway, I think we'd get in some sort of, we'd probably get taken down for copyright. So anyway, and that brings us to our Q&A. And if you have any questions, please just go ahead and drop them in chat, put a Q in front of them, and we'll take a look and answer any of those. They can be pushed across the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. And also, if you want to get all the news we talked about, all the articles, all the links, just go to zenatta.com/newsletter, subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a full dump of everything we talked about on this show in your inbox every Monday morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time. And with that, we'll go to our Q&A. You can please some of the people some of the time, but not all. Anyway, Joel says, thank you for the effort. The presentation would have been better if you actually had fleshed out a typical landscape. As I map my organization, I look for others' finished work to validate and inform. Visio mapping of an org chart and roles and permissions. Thanks for the effort. Joel, this is a tutorial on how to set it up. And one of the things the reason I put this question up is, Tyler, we have over 500 clients. Are any of them the same?
No, unfortunately not. That's where the difficulty comes in.
There is no typical landscape. I think we tried our best to do a typical landscape for what a salesperson would look like, right?
It would almost need to be, I think it would almost need to be a separate type of video, almost like a series of videos of like, the wheels in motion, right? Where we build out kind of a demo account and do a walkthrough. We try to keep it on a lot of those quick video tutorials, just kind of like what do these buttons do? Where do I go to make a change like this, But it is some good feedback. I mean, it would probably just need to be its own series of videos almost where, we build out a demo and walk through it that way.
Yep. And man, you're right. Visio mapping, it's the only way to go. We're all lucid chart around here, right? I mean, you basically pop it out and you just want to do it. I mean, we do that for almost every single client, especially as what their workflow is going to look like and what that's going to look like. For users of permission, I find it's usually best more on a spreadsheet kind of thing, just kind of break down the roles and what you want to do there. But pretty good stuff. So thank you for the feedback, Joel. We'll try to do something there. It's just difficult for us to break those down. And then also on the same video, can customer fields on books reflect in CRM? I mean, 40 to 80 fields. I don't know what.
I'm thinking, I'm not 100% sure of the question here, but what I would think is that maybe he's asking about the integration between CRM and books. I don't know, that it doesn't really affect the user permissions or the profiles there, but if you do have custom fields.
This wasn't the video. This is not what we were actually referring to. It was some other, he'd asked a question and we answered his question, and that's not being reflected here. But anyway, what he's asking is, can you synchronize Zoho Books custom fields to the CRM? That's the question.
Yeah, you surely can do that.
Yes.
It would just be in your integration settings for the connection between the two apps.
Yeah. All righty. And then this was just a crack up. I had to put it on here. So last week we had a question from Yu Wang, and it was a good question. We answered it, and he was very helpful. And I said, I think we're being, punked a little bit on the name. And he goes, nope, by the way, that's my real name, laugh out loud. So thank you for watching our show. We really appreciate it. Anyway, so there we go. Any more questions from the chat room? I don't think we do. Someone asked, do you have a tutorial with CRM Command Center? It's funny you asked that, Gilbert. That is one of the things we looked at doing the other day. And I think we probably will we'll probably get one of those out. It's something.
Yeah, we do have one coming for blueprints, I think, in this last series of recordings. But yeah, we'll probably need to take a crack at Command Center sometime in early this year. Get a video out for you.
For sure. For sure.
Because that one can
And do
be
you have
tricky when you start diving into Command Center. There is a lot there.
it's deep.
Almost
It's
too
deep.
much there.
There is. All right. That's going to wrap up this show. We want to thank everybody so much for joining us today. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and head over to Zenatta.com. Actually, better yet, head over to club.zenatta.com. And if you go there to Club Zenatta or link to it from Zenatta.com, we actually have in Club Zenatta a complete section where you can ask questions that we'll answer on the show, answer them in real time there. So get any of the questions you want on the show. Go ahead and drop us a line over there.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes of the show, as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. As always, we'd love if you would follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, as well as here on YouTube. We'll see you next Friday.
Thanks, everyone.
I love this outro, man. It's too good.